So Call of Duty has been going downhill for years. That is until Call of Duty Warzone was released. Warzone was absolutely a saving grace and undeniably revived the series. Despite this though, it is most definitely not without its faults, so I want to talk about some of the things that should be changed in Warzone that will make the game even greater. No game can be good without a good map to play on. Warzone came really close to making a good map, but upon closer inspection, it can be improved a lot.
Look! 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 What the fuck is this?
The real problem is that the map punishes rushing and rewards camping, as no matter how many times you down the same camper on the roof, they will always be revived by their teammate.
I've fallen, and I can't get up!
Take for example Hospital. On release, the only way to reach the top was using one of two ziplines. Infinity Ward realised that this was extremely stupid and way too powerful of a position, as when you use the zipline, your character is locked in an animation and can't fight back. So one guy simply has to sit at the top of the zipline and there's nothing you're able to do to fight back.
Oh, hello there!
Infinity Ward fixed the problem by adding two more ziplines which face the exact same problem as before. Simply adding the ability to hit fire would give the advancing player a fighting chance. The key to remember is a good position should make it harder to be killed, not impossible to be killed. There's a lot of flaws in how the map is designed that gives major advantages to campers that can be easily fixed.
Flex tape!
And honestly, if I was to talk about even half of the problems, then I'd be able to make an entire video just on that. The purpose of dead silence and stopping power is to give an advantage to a player. The most important part to giving a player an advantage is giving the other player a way to counter or at least predict it. Otherwise, it's essentially just a free kill for finding an item.
What? It's not fair. It's not fair.
Stopping power at least tries this allele. Once you pop into stopping power rounds, your gun suffers from slightly more recoil. This isn't really enough though. It should have just a little bit more recoil and perhaps more of a muzzle flash. This makes using the rounds slightly more skilled rather than just awarding a player with free damage for finding an item.
Holy look at all this damage!
Dead silence, on the other hand, has only positives for the player using it. Your footstep sounds become non-existent and your player becomes significantly faster. It cannot be predicted by the other player either. You might be thinking that it's easily countered by being more aware of your surroundings. However, this actually has the opposite effect. For example, when sitting here in supermarket, I know that if someone is coming behind me, I should be able to hear them before they get into a position where they can kill me. This is me playing the game over and over again, learning how the map works and learning how sounds and angles work. Dead Silence completely wipes the floor with this idea and allows the enemy to easily flank you with speed and ease. So what's the solution? Well, this may sound a little contradicting, but I do actually like Dead Silence as it actually gives you a way to counter campers. I think the best way to fix it would actually be by giving the enemy player an audio cue when someone pops Dead Silence near them. This doesn't reveal the player's location and dead silence will still work as intended, but it lets the opposing player know that there's someone in their proximity that isn't going to make any noise. The meta in Warzone is always met with constant criticism by the community. The developers have made it very clear that they've wanted one particular gun to be used each season by giving it ridiculous buffs. We had the Grau, the Bruin, dual load pistols, Origin, and currently it's the DMR. Now while I think they're going about it all wrong, it is clear that they are trying to encourage new playing styles each season by encouraging you to use different gun types. This is a good idea and will keep the game feeling fresh every season. However, it should always ultimately be a choice for the player in whether or not they want to use the meta guns. It should never feel forced, which simply isn't the case with Warzone. In the current meta with the DMR, you have to use the DMR or you simply can't play. The simple solution would be to stop making the conscious decision to have overpowered weapons. That's what it is after all, a decision they're making on purpose. Vaulting is a new mechanic where instead of climbing on top of something when mantling, your player will vault over it instead. More often than not, your character will lunge over something you're trying to get on top of and plunge you straight to your death. It's a simple fix really. When the player stood still and tries vaulting an object, just make it so the player mantles it and stands on top of the object. When the player is running, just make it so the player vaults it. Comparing the old Gulag to the new one is like comparing night and day. The first Gulag done a lot of things right in terms of design that the new one simply fails on. The old Gulag had a symmetrical design which made it essentially as fair as a fight as it could be. The new one doesn't have a symmetrical design, which makes it extremely one-sided. One side spawns with 4 pieces of cover, 2 of which are completely invincible to bullet penetration, while the other side spawns essentially without any cover at all.
Okay.
This desperately needs to be changed. On top of this, the new Gulag weapons are becoming increasingly worse. It is good that weapons are rotating out on a weekly basis to keep it fresh, but it'll only work if it's actually going to give better weapons. Adding things like snipers and crossbows just slows the Gulag down, and the only way to win is to essentially sit back and pre-aim. We don't even need to talk about the fists, as they're hated by casuals and competitive players alike. Fists truly have no place in the Gulag. We should also talk about the equipment in the Gulag, but first we have to talk about what the Gulag is actually for. Most people would agree that it's essentially a test of your skill, and if you died a wrongful death in game, it's your chance to rectify it and prove that you deserve a place back in the game. It's not meant to be a fun, mess around experience. Equipment like stuns, however, take no skill and reward you with a free kill and an easy Gulag. Simply removing the equipment completely from the Gulag is a must. It's not as important, but it'd also be nice if the rocks were removed from the Gulag, as the only reason they're in the game is to annoy the player being hit by them.
Can we stop throwing shit because everyone's gonna go home?
A feature shouldn't be put in the game with the sole purpose to annoy someone. Warzone is in real danger of becoming pay to win. The Galantry is a weapon variant of the MAC-10 that is actually more powerful than the base version. The Galantry deals bonus headshot damage anywhere you aim on the enemy player. On top of this, it has less recoil and a much cleaner iron sights than the base MAC-10. This is a problem because the only way to obtain the Galantry is by purchasing the season pass and leveling it up to almost completion. Paying for an advantage is textbook pay to win. This is not something we've seen before in Warzone, and given that this is only season 1 under Raven's watch, it sets a really bad precedent for the future. When your anti-cheat system mainly consists of asking cheaters not to cheat, then you might have a serious problem on your hands.
Fucking hacking those.
Imagine hacking, you're so trash, honestly, you're so trash. Imagine hacking.
That's how broke this game is, guys. You have to get cheat
Fucking
All reports are manually sorted through on a game with over 75 million players. To tell you how ridiculous this is, Warzone made the company $1.8 billion in its first year, and they still don't have any effective anti-cheat. The solution is to stop spending so much money funding people to make more microtransactions and put that money towards an anti-cheat. Although, credit where credit is due, they are starting to ban more cheaters after the community backlash, and there is promises of a better anti-cheat coming soon.
That's what we've been waiting for!
It's what we wanted all along!
If all of these problems can be fixed, then Call of Duty Warzone has a really good chance of becoming far more popular and long-lasting than it already is. With that being said, the biggest problem so far has to be the direction that the new developers, Raven Software, have been taking the game in. There was a recent update that completely changed the game for the worse. It was the integration of Cold War. The weapons for Cold War deal way more damage than the Modern Warfare guns and are poorly balanced. We've seen the most powerful and unfair metas under Raven's watch, and it's still only season 1. They made a less superior Gulag, and if the new map, Rebirth, is any indication of how Raven plans to make their future map, then we're in for a rough time. On top of this, the graphics on Warzone suffered a serious downgrade for no reason at all. There's not a single good change so far that Raven have made. They will absolutely need to get their act together fast, or they will completely kill the game.
You're nothing, you're just a piece of a garbage.
This video took a really long time to make, and if you'd like to see more like this in the future, then please subscribe and let me know down below. Thank you for watching.